Make a date with Rev Dr Ebenezer Markwei at 6 a.m. from Monday to Saturday on Graphic Online via Facebook and YouTube as he expounds on matters of faith. Graphic Online, truth and accuracy every day.
This is Rev Dr Ebenezer Markwei of Living Streams International. We meet behind the trade fair behind Zenith College, bringing you matters of faith with Graphic Online. You know, this morning I'd like to call today's message not the promise, but the test. In the book of Matthew, chapter 26, from verse 35 onwards, you remember that Peter had promised Jesus, and Peter told Jesus that, Lord, I will die with you. No, you won't die. I will die with you. Hey, wherever you go, that's where I would go. Jesus said, look, I'm going to die. Then Peter said, Lord, wherever you go, that's where we'll go with you. Where you die, that's where you die. Promise, 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 promise. Guess what? When the real test came for the promise to be fulfilled, and a little girl asked Peter, do you know this man? He said, I don't know him. 3 times, Peter, Jesus told him, the cock will not crow. You know, sometimes we make promises to each other when we're in relationships. Oh, I have been to funerals at the cemetery where people who are, killing themselves, shouting and screaming and say, I'll go with you, I'll go with you. For a typical example, there's one whose husband died. And at the graveyard, boy, she was screaming, I will go with you. And the way she was screaming, somebody decided to, okay, leave her alone. And said, okay, die. And started pushing her towards the grave. Then she said, stop, I don't like what you're doing. Leave me alone. I don't like what you're doing. Promises. But when the test comes. Sometimes I've seen people make promises, and sometimes I just shake my head and say, all right. The test will come. So you see, when you make the promises, be mindful that one day you're going to be tested for what you promised. And when the test comes, then we're going to see whether you really meant it or not. For you that promises are made to, and the people cannot fulfill their promises, say to yourself, these are Peter's cousins. They will promise, but they are short on delivery when the test comes. So don't be offended, because after all, they are human beings. They may make all the promises that they can, but when the real test comes, they might fail. Overlook it. They're mere humans. And for you who make the promises, be careful, because a day is going to come where that promise you made is going to call into question. The promises we make will be tested to see whether they are viable or not. So let's be guarded with our promises, so that the day we are tested, we don't fall short. But if you make a promise, then make sure you keep it. That's who God is. When He promises, He keeps His promise. So it is not the promise, but the test. I hope when the test comes, you pass the test. God bless you.